Okay, so here we are back at InDesign, and I have my paragraph styles, and I'm going to throw away this one paragraph for text, increase the size of this box, which is actually overflowing, this little red square. Do you guys see that little red square? That means there's more text in this box than is able to show right now. That means overflow. The name of this box is called the out port, and the name of this box up here is called the in port. So if I click on the out port here, it collects the text. I just did a single click on it, and I'll click and drag out, and now I have more text. If I click inside of this box now, and again do type fill with placeholder text, it's now happy and filled. However, I'm going to click away and make a new decision. All of a sudden, I'm like, that text looks bad. I need to change something about it. My client says it's too small. I'm going to go make sure nothing is selected here. Nothing is selected. Nothing is selected. No paragraph style, no text element, nothing is selected. And then I'm going to go back to body copy and make sure the preview button is checked on. And I'm going to come over here to basic character formats and increase the size to 14 and 15. Now they're happy and they want a little bit more leading here, so I'll make this leading or line spacing 18.5, and again before and after, before and after. Much more legible now that it's bigger. Much more easy to read. And I'll click OK, but then you're going to notice there's that out port being overfilled again. Since this is not real type, I can just delete some of it. You can see I have to delete a lot of it. But that's fine. To take a look at this page without any of the guides showing, if you look here at the bottom of the Tools panel, there's a little button for that. And if I click away, I can see I have a decent amount of air, probably maybe too much up here in the organization name or whatever the name of this article is. And here's my subhead. Maybe now I have some space for an image here. Smart Guides, very helpful in InDesign. There is a really cool tool in InDesign that I love so much, and it's this one right here. It's called the Gap tool. The Gap tool. The Gap tool lets you click when you have two boxes selected. You can take this little gap tool situation and you can put it between those two boxes, and you can then change the flow of your columns, increasing that or decreasing that so you can even out the lines if you are fine with having an asymmetrical layout. That is a really good way to work. But of course, if you just notice both of these boxes are the same height, I'm going to turn the guides back on. If I shorten this box, it will pour the content over into the other box to the right of it. And that is because they are linked, because I made the second box by spawning from the out port to make this second box. If you go under this menu here for view and we do a thing called extras, there is a thing called show text threads. Boom. Now there's a line that shows you how these two things connect. Personally, I think that these boxes, this text is too close together, so I'm going to squish this one down, and if I look up at the top, I can see there's a width of 3.3 inches for this left box. And so I can click over on the box on the right and make that the same thing, 3.3. And now I can say, oh God, I don't know, that doesn't look right either. And this is just, you know, my life. 3.4, and what does this one look like at 3.4? Now sometimes what I'll do, because my father was a graphic designer with pens and paper and things, and I used to watch him do his things, and like he would sketch and stuff, he would just like, he had this whole set of squares of paper, actually cardboard, like a bunch of ones that were 1 inch, a bunch of ones that were ½ an inch, a bunch of ones that were like 1/4 of an inch, and he would just sort of play with them and do different things. So if I took a box here, I'm going to take this box tool, and I'm going to press the option tool, and I'm going to make this 0.25. 0.25. And now I have a box that I'm going to make black. That's a 1/4 of an inch box. And so if I have some kind of a distorted perception of how much space that there is on this layout, because I'm looking at it on a computer and not on a printed sheet, this can really help me out. I have really find these little types of things like, oh, that's a whole 1/4 of an inch right there. And you print it out and you're like, that looks totally weird, if you don't have some kind of reference. When you're looking at the spaces between your objects, it's helpful to have some kind of reference. And so Option click, the same as in Illustrator, right? So I can have some kind of real measurement here and get an idea of my spacing throughout the document with these little, I just call them little chips, little sizer chips. And when I move things around in InDesign, I get these smart guides, which is these green lines, which is giving me an inference or inferring the spot where this box centers in this page. So when I let go, I know that this box is now centered because there was that vertical line. Did you guys see it? Right, and now I could literally just bring that over and snap it to the edges, gesundheit, and then I can delete these. And I'm a happy person because I know it's going to look right. I'm going to bring those back. Now, I'm going to come over here and do File, New, Library. And, oh, there it is. I can take my library items here and saving, this is in Photoshop CC, it actually saves whatever fonts and whatever colors I use in a document. And I can save things like these little things and just drop this little widget in there. And now I have that. I might want to give it a name. That could be helpful, like 0.35 inches. So I'll know what that is. And put this one in there because they look the same. It's really hard to tell. And when I just did right there, I just double-clicked on it, and it took me inside of that object. And that is for when you have a placeholder and you want to turn it into something else. But I'm going to close that and pretend that didn't happen right now because I don't need to take you down that path. All right, so I'm going to get rid of those. So now I know that this one, somebody didn't get named properly. 0.35, or I changed the name or something. Hope I did that right. Let's see. Is that the big one or the little one? That's the little one, and that is the big one. So somehow I named those wrong, so I should fix that before I lose my mind here. 3, and this one is 2. So those are my little pieces of black or gray cardboard that I can just set down and get some kind of feeling for what my layout looks like. All right, again with the gap tool, just for fun, if I grab this gap tool again, I can also change the gap here. And also without the gap tool, I could just select and then press the Shift key, and using the Shift and arrow keys, I can move this up, what have you. Okay? So now there's a bunch of air on the bottom of my layout, and I'm okay with that. That looks fine. All right, the next thing I want to address is doing a text wrap, and I'll do that in the next movie.